Hello, hello. Welcome to Startup Greece Talks. On this episode, I am here with Mr. Charis Kosmas from LUNAR Cargo. And welcome, Mr. Charis. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Good evening, Ms. Luyak. It's my pleasure.
We had an amazing talk the other time. We talked about almost everything about LUNAR Cargo. And I'm more than excited today to hear more about your background. What is LUNAR Cargo? Literally anything that would help us understand more, because it's gonna be the most super exciting scientific interview. So I would love to hear more from you.
We are in a good moment in space history to start an old dream of landing on the moon tangentially on the lunar surface on a very big plateau that is called Ocean of Storms, as it had been suggested in the 70s by Erich Kraft. But we have improved a lot this concept, and now we can save about 60% of the cost. We slice the cost about to 1/3 of what can be done by the classical landers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I understand correctly, the last time we spoke, I told you that you are the last mile ACS courier thing for lunar. It's actually the last mile in lunar landing. So you are the people who send the cargo from literally any spaceship on the lunar surface, correct?
Exactly. We are in the last mile, which is always the most difficult one. And as I said, we have the capacity to reduce also the cost with these innovations. And we don't generate ejecta, which means debris, which means danger to everybody approaching to the moon. So both economic benefits and environmental benefits.
Great. We're going to dive into more detail. And before we do that, I would like to ask, how did you start your journey? Like just a small description of how you started, something special that we should learn about you.
It's like being in the sea. Waves and winds take you anywhere. I have changed many topics, many professions in my life, from economics to computing, eventually to space science.
You have a vast experience in your industry. So can you please share something with me?
Actually, yes, I had the chance to be the project controller of the biggest satellite project in Europe back in 2000, Medusa Second Generation. The first satellite we launched outperformed the design. It was designed for 7 years and it lasted 19.8, the longest satellite for meteorology ever. So I had the chance to meet bright people that are the cream of the cream in the space industry, and that gave me an excitement and passion for space. So I abandoned all the other things I was doing because I thought that this is so important. And I had this idea about lunar landing since 2003. But back then there was no market.
This is 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, but there was no market back then. So I didn't put effort.
So you were ahead of your time. And this is very exciting because I would like to try and explain exactly what you're doing to the people that are listening to us. So many people listen to lunar landing and they're not very sure, why would anyone want to land on the moon? I had the same questions, and I believe it's important to address them. So you had told me that for the past, let's say, what was it, 5+ years, 5 to 10 years, there has been a very increased need to, let's say, utilize or manipulate the lunar surface, not only for materials, but different other things. Can you please tell me more about that?
Yes, there is convergence of many technologies nowadays. One is the huge cost reduction of launching rockets out of Earth due to the reusability of the launchers nowadays. But there is also the convergence of fusion technology. Fusion technology is maturing. Currently is using substitute fuels, deuterium and tritium, which have many drawbacks, but they are almost ready to use helium-3. However, we don't have on Earth helium-3. We have to mine it from the moon.
Okay, so in order for us to get there, except for the spaceships that take us there, we need a way to land. And we need a way to land cargo, which might be utilized from already existing facilities there. Literally anything from accessories for the equipment or anything that is important for the things that are already on the moon.
Plenty of hardware that we will need in a mining operation of large scale, because we talk about large scale operations. And of course, for the base that will host some astronauts that they will have to be there to supervise, maintain, and so forth. Small proportion for the astronauts, huge amount for the industrial large-scale operation.
Great. Okay. So I understand the problem that the company solves, and as you told me, it is a pretty expensive situation landing on the moon. And I understand that you have told me that you provide two main families of services and two commodities. Can you share some information?
Yes, in terms of services, we provide the landing operation, but we also provide mobility operation.
So moving on the moon surface, on the lunar surface?
Moving on the moon from one place to another.
Yes.
Long distances with very little cost, and we also provide habitation services because our main spacecraft can be converted into a habitat.
Great. Great. I believe I totally understand at this point. So we need to understand that those astronauts living there, or the equipment that we have there, it needs to be moved on the lunar surface. So it might be urgent for literally any piece of the equipment to be moved fast from one point to another. So you have thought about it and you have created something about it.
Yes. One of the two concepts is to roll on the surface and cover certain distances.
Great.
That is called OPLONAS.
The other show that. I think we can. Yes. I think we can show that, and you can also tell me about the next one, and I'm going to show one after the other.
Okay. So the second, MACEDONAS, is for transferring in a ballistic way from one point of the surface of the moon to any place on the moon, small packets, either for a regular transfer or for emergency operations. If a rover has stuck somewhere and needs a replacement wheel.
Great. I'm going to show the first one, which is OPLONAS, and it's an oversized payload lander on non-atmospheric somata. Let me show it to our audience. Great.
As it rolls, its kinetic energy dissipates. When OPLONAS rests, its payload is extracted and the flexible elements are collected to be reused for constructing a MACEDONAS.
So the elements is used to create a MACEDONAS, which is this. It's a momentum absorption catcher for express deliveries on non-atmospheric somata.
Two poles placed on high ground hold a net like a butterfly catcher, which can trap incoming parcels. That catcher being connected to a stem and the stem to a necklace decelerates and steers the parcel towards a safety net.
So this is initially for small parcels, but of course it is scalable to as big as we like. Initially, the deceleration will be about 15 G, But eventually, by elongating the wires that we use, it can go down to 5G deceleration, which means that even human beings will be able to land in this way.
Great, that's great. I am a very technical mind, as you have probably understood, and I would like to ask some more technical questions with regards to the business model. We understand that this is Greek technology that needs to be out there, and it also needs to be at some point monetized, because its use is very important, and we would like to understand how does the company generate revenue, or planning on generating revenue, because I know that you're bootstrapping currently.
We are bootstrapping so far. We're going to go for funding next year. We have already an agreement with 2 investors that I cannot disclose before February, but we might expand this round, especially in developing 2 satellites that we have currently the right by Ariane 6 to launch next July. That will need accelerated developments, and therefore we have to rapidly hire people, buy equipment, and to do all the preparations in order to catch up. This great opportunity to launch 2 microsatellites with Ariane this summer that will give us capability to validate on orbit some technical details, and we know the lifetime of those components and so forth. So we're in a very accelerated phase now. We received only 1 week ago this message from Arianespace that we have this great opportunity, and we thank very much Arianespace and ESA for this capability they give us.
That's great, and I wish you the absolute best. So when would we be expecting some revenue? I understand that you're going to get some grants from Europe, but I'm not really sure I remember when is it going.
Absolutely, we have given positive signals both by European Agency, European Space Agency, and European Commission that they like our concepts. So they have given us also prizes about that, but only in terms of certificates that we have excelled and so forth. Also internationally, we won the Moon Village Association global competition about innovation for transportation to the moon. So we have all the credentials ready, and we're about to submit proposals to European Space Agency in the context of GSTP, which is an open call. We can submit at any day. Great. But also for European Commission, the Horizon Pathfinder Open Program.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing this information. And I'm going to be asking more things about your product market fit. So I would like to understand who is your ideal avatar, your customer persona. I believe that you're not searching for it. I believe you have found it. So what is it?
The business concept is practically business to business. There are some big players who are interested about the moon mining. The most known ones are Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, but there are plenty of others as well. So these are going to be our customers. There are various ways to deal with them. Either we will become suppliers of a launch service provider, or we will contract directly with those entities interested to land cargo on the moon, which are about 400 different entities in the next 10 years. And we will buy the launch service by the launch providers so that they will bring our spacecrafts to low lunar orbit from where our mission starts. We have to build those spacecraft somewhere abroad after selecting manufacturing facilities. And we will maintain for ourselves a control center to do the operation.
Great.
We're not going to build the projects ourselves. That has to be outsourced.
Great, thank you. Okay, so do you have any feedback from your potential customers that you would like to share?
We have some NDAs on this topic because everybody is a bit touchy about the competition. There is severe competition. I must highlight that there are 400 different entities that are pushing for moon missions in the next 10 years. This is confirmed by market research study of the most reputable market research agency, the NSR, but also Eurocontrol and many others as well.
Which means that we are in the highest point of the curve, and we're still moving.
No, we're not in the highest. It's exponential. It's going to go up the next 20 years.
Yeah. Pardon me. We're on the highway on this exponential growth. Pardon me. Yeah, you're right. Yes. You're absolutely right. And I remember also the graphs that you showed me from this specific survey, which was honestly inspiring. So I understand that potential customer feedback is good, as you can cut costs to 1/3, which I understand is really not even believable at this point. But it's something that you are proving that you can do.
It has been proven. That's why I have got all those prizes by the EU Space Forum last year in October, by Moon Village Association, who had evaluators from NASA, from Ukrainian Space Agency, from French Space Agency. All these are people who do this business for ages. The evaluator from NASA, it was John Mankins, is the guy who had defined the technology readiness levels that was initially used for the space, but now is used in any technological field. They talk about technology readiness level from 0 to 9, and this was defined by John Mankins.
Wow. Okay. Talking about numbers and markets, I would love to have a more detailed idea about the market size. You have already told me some estimations, but how about we have a deeper dive?
Please, yes. For the last estimate, it's going to be revised upwards. That was announced in March 2003, this year. Yes, still 2003. 2023, they talk about 137 billion for 400 missions. This does not consider the price reduction we're going to give. And this price reduction that we're going to offer to the market will certainly increase this number. Also, this number does not include military budget. Military budget is always unknown. Some people, they say that the military budget is higher to NASA for United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
And they are interested now for the moon.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yes, it makes perfect sense. So I would also like to ask, what's the current revenue margin in the market? I remember something about 50%, which is the estimation, right?
Yes, it is 40 to 60%. I take the middle. Although being a monopoly in this particular last mile
would probably make it higher. Yeah.
But we want to keep it low because we want volume.
Understood.
We believe that humanity needs at this moment to solve the energy crisis, the climate crisis, by harvesting helium-3 and going with a fusion fully equipped. We need it now.
Totally understood. Totally. And I understand that this is a global market. So you're not only focusing locally, apparently. I don't think I even need to ask about the location. It's pretty much obvious.
We have very good engineers and in Greece already, and there are plenty of Greek engineers working abroad. So we hope to benefit of all this know-how and establish in Greece such a facility, control center, analysis, all that is needed in order to provide the services in a very regular way.
So you would like your base to be here?
Yes, absolutely.
I totally agree with that. I believe it's extremely important. And having talked about estimations, I believe it's time to talk about where do you see this initiative within the 3 to 5 next years. Also taking into consideration how the market is moving, and as you said, the growth is exponential. Everyone is working around how to go there and.
Those two concepts, the OPLONAS for the big payload and the MACEDONAS for the small parcels, they have, I would say, different time scale of implementation.
Yes.
MACEDONAS, being much simpler technically and financially to be deployed, that could be deployed in the course of 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
OPLONAS is more difficult.
Yeah.
Although it can land bigger payloads, has this comparative disadvantage with respect to MACEDONAS that it needs bigger investment, dedicated launch of a big launcher, and so forth, and that might take 3 to 5 years to implement.
Okay. Still, it's not a long time for what's being made. So
for space business,
it's not.
This is standard.
Yeah, it's standard. Great. So I should ask this, even though you told me that it's a monopolium. Which are the competitors, either indirect or direct, and what is the competitive advantage?
With respect to cargo, will definitely be a monopoly. With respect to human landings, we will not do it in the beginning. That is separate. Some countries, like China, and some military operations might still want to have their own landers.
Yeah.
For being totally independent.
Yeah.
Sovereignty. The rest we can service, whether it is parcel, whether it is big payload, we can cover it. In our business plan, we assume that we're going to grab 1/3 of the total for simplicity, although we can get much more. But, for many people, it's too good to be true. And we have to be conservative in our projections. So we put 1/3.
Totally understandable. So I understand that you're trying to build a sustainable economic moat, and I would like to understand more about it and the competitive advantage too, even though I understand that the technology is the biggest competitive advantage.
Yes, and the effect that does not generate debris, which is very important, not obvious to the people who are not in the business. But when a lander goes vertically, the gases that it expels pick up soil and they eject it omnidirectionally to all directions. And that has 5 times the speed of bullet.
Yeah.
Which means
so it's very dangerous for anyone on the surface and on the
proximity to the moon.
Exactly. Totally understood. Yeah. Totally
understood. This we can solve it. There's no other solution with zero ejecta.
Yeah. Do you have any other future plans on diversifying? Any ideas about if other people want to do their own landing mechanism or whatever? Have you thought of other things that you can do to diversify yourself?
Yes. In a matter of few years' time, the MACEDONAS concept will be modified to become electromagnetic decelerator. No longer mechanical.
Not longer mechanical. Yeah.
But with electromagnetic deceleration. But that requires bigger, in terms of mass, installation.
Yeah.
Therefore, we have to have by that time converted local material, metals, and so forth, in order to establish such decelerator. But this needs to be confirmed after we practice with a mechanical system,
Yeah.
the precision of landing a parcel with sub-centimeter precision.
Totally understood. Yeah. And you're going to do that with your next steps, as you told me, with the Ariane space.
Yes, we will try the first mechanism with this system, and in parallel, we'll submit some more patents.
Great, perfect. Okay, you have been extremely helpful with answering my questions up to this point, and I love how we're discussing about the more business part, and I think it's time to talk about numbers as far as the financial is concerned. I understand that you're not making any revenue now, so I would like to ask whether you could share any numbers from the current status or projections for the next 3 to 5 years, anything that would be interesting for investors or...
We have, as I said, two investors, and this deal was based on a valuation of 30 million.
Okay.
And we expect that the next year the revenue will be in the range of 3 million by grants mainly.
Understood.
Apart from the cash we might take from investors. That is considered pre-seed.
Yes.
And so it is sufficient to work on that level.
Yes.
For the next year. The year after, we expect 10 times bigger revenue and activities, and about 3 times more people from what we will have in the first year. So money-wise, we'll about multiply by 10 every year that will pass until fully operational, while people will triple every year.
Great. This is
because
very important.
It's capital-intensive business.
Yeah.
It's capital-intensive process and equipment we have to buy. That's why more money, more acceleration to money than people. Huh?
Yes, yes, I understood. This is very important information, and I would love to hear anything that you would like to share that's makes sense for investors that we have not already covered.
For the investors, be ready. We're going to go for announcement in the first quarter of 2024 to clarify what we need, when we will close the round. We have to wait until then in order to cost precisely the 2 missions we are running up now. But also in the general public, I would say, because of the one of our CubeSats, which is 6U, we still have some margin of mass. Open call, anybody who has an idea or can contribute in the implementation of this mission to direct message me to see where we have synergies and accelerate this mission.
Great. So this is an open call. Anyone that wants to have a conversation or a discussion with Mr. Kosmas, please DM me or DM him directly from via LinkedIn or whatever. And we would be more than happy to have people coming and talking to us and sharing anything that they want. And going closer to the closure, you told me about the valuation. And I would now like to ask about the strategy to get a return on the investment and how are you planning on using the funds? I understand that you're currently doing some patent work.
Yes, and we are going to expand that further next year. Important to highlight that this is a business with exponential potential, which has been corroborated by many market research agencies that specialize in the topic.
Yes.
So the traditional thinking of when we provide exit does not apply.
It does not apply, yeah, I know.
Because there's no plateau. Somebody wants to go out before the plateau of the curve of revenue and profit.
Great.
We're going to have additional rounds for financing. And even if we don't do IPO for making available liquidity in the market, then at every financing round, there will be, of course, possibility for everybody who has shares to sell it to those who are incoming. So we're going to facilitate, in a way, this swap of potential investors every second year, maybe, or even every year.
Totally understandable and makes perfect sense. I know that currently you are working alone on this, but you have big and extremely experienced advisory boards backing you up. And what I would like to know is, are you planning on hiring people as soon as you get the funding, and on which roles? So that if there's anyone out there in this industry with experience on this, we would love to hear from them.
Experience is good, but not absolutely necessary. Passion is the key in everything. I was not trained in space engineering either. My diplomas are in econometrics and in computing. So, of course, all sciences are of importance. Mathematics, physics, geology, of course, are obvious, but also aspects of marketing, because we might also go for crowdfunding. This is also a possibility to evaluate in the first quarter of 2024. We might go for crowdfunding, so we want engagement with the general public for finding investors, but also because we believe that this is good for Greek people to get engaged. That would be, let's say, an incentive for the people to go out of the problematism about the Greek economy situation and so forth. So I want to give a positive
aspect
aura on the prospects of Greek people in general.
This is very inspiring, and I understand. I'm sure actually that as soon as you get funding and you start hiring people, you would definitely work with Greek innovative minds. I'm sure about that.
It will be open for everybody, but being in Greece, as you understand, is an opportunity for the Greek people. And I highly encourage that I'm ready to help everybody who would like to take this leap forwards. And we will provide all the necessary handover, let's say, with people that we want to get on board, whether it is some educational courses or some hands-on experience for people that they have not done it before.
That's great. Is there anything that you would like to share with the audience or anyone out there listening to us right now before we wrap it up?
Just to remind that the first international conference about the moon had been organized in Delphi in 1st century AD. And the question was whether moon is inhabitable. They knew it was not inhabited, and they were asking the wise people of their times to think if moon could be rendered inhabitable.
I see the inspiration all over you, and I am very, very glad that I know a lot more things about not only lunar landing, but about the let's call it exploitation of this planet. And I cross my fingers and I wish you the absolute best with your next steps. I'm also urging everyone listening to us right now to, if they have any innovative ideas, if they like the project, to contact Mr. Kosmas via literally any social media available, or me. And if you have anything special to say, if you want to open a discussion, I'm sure that Mr. Kosmas is always open to discussion, and we would love to see innovative young people, and not only, to get their hands on a project like this.
Many thanks.
Many thanks too. I cannot wait to see the next steps, and I'm sure that we will be having this interview again when we have very, very good news about its future. So thank you again for being a speaker on this episode, and hopefully we're going to have the opportunity to talk again.